Welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video. We sell all the coolest Japanese collectibles and figurines straight out of Japan. And you can find out more details about us in the description of this video, including our eBay store and our Facebook page. So this video I'm actually going to be reviewing the two figures that you see in front of you, which is the Super Saiyan Vegeta and Super Saiyan Future Trunks Legend of Saiyan series. And I actually have reviewed one of the figures in this series before, which was the King Vegeta. And there were 8 figures released in this series, which are the 3 that you see in front of you. In addition to that, there was normal Vegeta, Super Saiyan Goku, normal Goku, Super Saiyan Gohan, and Bardock. And it was released in 2011, but already they're pretty hard to get. I mean, usually figures from 4 or 5 years ago, you can find them, but these are pretty rare, to be honest. So obviously very popular figures. They're known for being quite metallic-y, quite shiny, and they also have these clear hexagonal blue plastic bases. Some people I've heard refer to them as the Christmas decoration figurines. So they are quite shiny. I personally like that look, but I don't know. I guess it's not for everybody, but I personally really like it. I really like the bases too. So I've reviewed this figure before, so I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to talk about that one again. So let's now look at these two figures. So on the left, obviously, we have the Super Saiyan Vegeta, and you'll notice again that he's quite shiny, quite metallic-y looking. And I think that the sort of color of his outfit is probably a little bit too dark. If I compare it to the S Culture Series 1, you can see there's a pretty big difference in coloring. But in fairness, I think this one's probably a bit too light. Like even his skin looks almost white. So, but this one, I mean, you can actually see clearly there's parts of black here. So it is a very dark looking figure. And but I actually quite like it. I mean, I actually like the look of that. I really like the pose, sort of, feet firm, arms crossed. He's sort of got that kind of V-shaped body, so he looks really, ripped and muscly. And he's kind of got that "I'm gonna kill you" look. And I really like the shading in the hair. Goes from like a red to almost a white, so it's got that really sort of nice, shiny, metallic-y, gradient hair. I really like the paint jobs on this, just how it's got that color variation in it. The only thing I don't really like about this figure is the eyes. Now, I understand why they've done that, because that's usually how they're drawn in the anime, but for a figure it doesn't really quite work. I think they needed to either make the black lines on the outside thinner, or they should have made it just a complete sort of, completely sort of encapsulate the eyes. So it does look a little bit funny, but it's not a deal breaker. The other thing maybe as well is his sort of jumpsuit. It sort of merges into his skin just a little bit too seamless, because it's kind of just the printing or the coloring is different. Whereas if you actually have a look at the S Cultures one, it's a different molding process, so it actually sort of sticks out. If I put it to a white background, you can see it actually sticks out a little bit. Whereas this one, it actually just sort of seamlessly all goes together. So that's the Vegeta. So let's now have a look at the Trunks. Now the first thing I really like about these Trunks is that they use the anime version of the jacket. So if I compare him to the S Cultures Series 4 Trunks, you'll see that they used like a turquoise blue. This was not a mistake. This is how Trunks first appeared in the manga, in the comic. And Banpresto used that for both this figure and the Master Stars Peace figure, both released last year. So, look, I understand why they did. I mean, you could argue that is his actual color, but I still feel that, all the episodes that he appeared in the anime and that we got used to in the anime kind of outweighs the, like, 2 or 3 sort of promotional images or manga cover images showing Trunks with the turquoise blue. So, I'm really glad that they actually used that color scheme with it. It's also one of the very few Future Trunks figures that you can get. I mean, obviously there was the new ones last year, but before that, really the only other one was the high-quality deluxe figure, the HQ DX series that Banpresto released about 10 years ago. That figure looks okay, looks decent, but I still feel that this one is better. The other thing about this figure is if you don't like the matte finish, if you don't like the sort of shiny figure of this one and the King Vegeta, this one actually is a lot more of a matte finish. It's a lot more of a sort of non-shiny paint job, but it still looks great. I mean, you can see the sort of color variation, even in his shoes and his jacket. You've got the Capsule Corp logo. If I can get that into focus, it does actually say Capsule Corp written on it. There we go. And you can see even like the seam on his collar and just all the detail, the sort of button, cufflinks, I don't think it's called cufflinks, button. And again, just like the Vegeta, the really, really cool hair. Looks really great. Sort of gives off that aura. I don't know, I feel those eyes kind of work, even though they're the same design as the Vegeta ones. I don't know. So I really like this figure. The only thing I was really worried about with this figure is that the sword, because I'd seen this in like showcases and stuff like that, the sword kind of looked like it was sort of concaving and was kind of rounded, but actually that's not really the case. It is actually quite straight, but you can see that it does, you can see here the handle, it does actually sort of concave in. But the sword itself is actually quite straight. This is actually quite bendable as well, which I didn't originally realize. So you can actually bend these. It's like a rubbery thing, so you can sort of try and bend it into shape as well. But that's actually quite straight, so that really isn't too much of a problem. Yeah. The other thing I noticed actually with this sword, and it might just be my one because it's second hand, but I think all of them probably have this, you'll notice it actually looks more worn in this part, and I think that's deliberate. So that's a pretty cool level of detail that they actually made, like, because obviously that's where his hands would hold it. So yeah, very cool figure of Super Saiyan Future Trunks. He is my favorite character, and I think this is a really cool figure. Really like the stance, really like the paint job, and he actually looks really good with Vegeta as well. So I think the two of them really look good. Obviously you could add them to like a Android Saga display, or you could even have like 3 generations of the Vegeta family, I guess you could call it. So yeah, it looks very cool, and definitely a great figure to add to your collection. So that's the Legend of Saiyan, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and Super Saiyan Future Trunks. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Love to hear your comments. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.